Over the past couple of months, I've spoken to nothing more than 200 people about TechNation, and I've helped 20 people successfully move to the United Kingdom under TechNation. And it's from this experience that I'm going to pour out everything I know about the global talent visa and how to move to the United Kingdom successfully as a technology talent. There are a number of reasons why I'm doing this long video, a bunch of which I'm going to get into as we continue with the rest of the video. I'm literally going to walk through the old documentation, the TechNation documentation, which is currently updated, by the way. TechNation made a couple of changes in January to the application process, so it's quite important that you watch this video if you plan to apply anytime soon, or if it's part of your plan to move to the United Kingdom as a global talent. Going forward, for my YouTube channel, I'm going to reduce the way I talk about the topic. There are a number of reasons why. I recently found out that I can't monetize my channel, so I need to start looking at other ways. So I need to start talking about other content pillars, other content topics, a bunch of which I'm well experienced in. So going forward, I'm definitely going to talk about more topic. I'm definitely going to talk about more content stuff, and I'm going to show you everything that you need to understand about TechNation, and also talk about the product that I built regarding TechNation to help a lot of people. I've been able to help a lot of people move to the United Kingdom affordably, right? Because a lot of programs out there that speak to help people with TechNation are quite expensive. We've seen some about asking for £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 just to help people move to the United Kingdom. But with the products that we built, we've been able to find a way to make it affordable, a bunch of which I'm going to go into in this video, so you obviously understand that, and you're also going to understand step by step how to apply on your own if you don't have anything, right? And you can check my YouTube channel. There are a lot of videos that people have found really helpful to help them move to the United Kingdom. And thank you for always sending your messages. I'll just be scrolling on Twitter and people will send me that, oh, thank you so much for creating your videos help me move to the United Kingdom. People just even get my number, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. It means a lot, right? I'm happy that their life can change because of the videos I create. I feel humble and I feel incredibly lucky to be able to talk about the topic, right? I don't take it for granted. Given the fact that I'm unable to monetize the channel, I'll definitely continue creating content. That doesn't stop me from creating content. That doesn't stop me from giving out value, because I didn't start this channel for monetary gains, and I don't know why. For some reason, YouTube, Google, they don't want to monetize my channel. I've been at it for a number of days now, weeks, actually months even. Yeah, it started way back September last year, but I've only recently just reached out to them to really get into it. Like, why can't I monetize my channel? I got monetized last year, so a bunch of the videos that I curate, I should be able to get something back. But fortunately or unfortunately, that's not the case. I'm grateful that I'm in a position where my finances are well catered for. I work at an incredible company. I'm lucky. I don't rely on a bunch of this to be able to make a living or to be able to take care of my family. I just want to give back. But the products that we've built are to help people. So if you feel like you want to contribute back to the effort, to the value that is being given on the channel, helping you move to the United Kingdom, do check out the product. I'll introduce it shortly. There are a number of ways that you can partner with us, to work with us, to help you move to the United Kingdom. So it's not like you're giving us something for free, but just to consider the product, right? It means a lot giving back to the channel through that means. We've been able to help a lot of people move to the United Kingdom. I'm definitely sure we'll be able to help you. It might not be now, but in the future, because a number of reasons why people cannot apply for TechNation is just patience, right? I believe everybody is qualified to move to the United Kingdom under TechNation. It might not be now, might just be that you have to wait for a couple of months, years, right, based on your circumstances. So that's it. I just thought to talk about everything that is going on with the channel before I get into this stuff, because I know it's going to be a long session. I'm really going to talk about everything I know. I'm just going to give it out for free. Like I said, I want to reduce the way I talk about the topic. I'm going to show the product now. So the product is called Revisa. I've talked about it a bunch of time on the channel, and a lot of people have reached out, worked to us by just watching the videos, and they've moved on to do greater things in the United Kingdom, right? And to navigate is tryrevisa.com. That's how you get to the website, right? I will also leave the link in the description below. But there are a couple of stuff that you can find to work with Revisa. The most important one, the one that is really affordable for everyone, is the guide. The guide is so affordable that you can just get it. Even though you are not ready to apply now, I really recommend that you get it, so that whenever you are ready to apply, you can easily just pay for it and you can start using the guide to put together your document. There are a lot of checklists in the guide that you can go through, examples document from the past, like a lot of successful applications. We just looked at it together and we put everything together. So get the guide, and if you feel like something is missing in the guide, right, you can obviously send an email by using the contact us button, or just scroll down, you see the Revisa email, send us an email. If something is missing in the guide, we'll be happy to update the guide so that you have access to the latest and greatest documentation that you need to be able to apply for the United Kingdom. I really recommend it that you get the guide. It's so affordable, you don't want to miss everything. Even with the guide alone and the YouTube videos that we have, you can go on to put in a successful application. And also book a call, right? You can book a call, you can speak to the team by just clicking the link, picking a time in the calendar, you get to book a call. I really recommend that book a call when you have everything that you want to speak about. People that have used the book a call, they are at a position where they either want to know if they should apply and how they should apply. So when you book a call, we go over your checklist, we go over your experiences, we go over everything about you, and we really tell you whether you are fit to apply, what the document that you need to put together, how do you put everything together, how do you just look at everything and just put your document together in a very strategic manner. So recommend that you book a call, right? And other ways to work with us is document review. Document review, you have everything ready, you are ready to submit, so you eat the stuff and then you pay, and you also submit your document. We have a look at it, a lot of back and forth, giving changes, comments, just to make sure that you're in a good place. I don't recommend this if you are not ready, right? There's also a 30-minute strategic call attached to it, so that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a lot, so I really recommend that you book a call when you're ready. It's going to be incredibly helpful for you. There's also like the personalized visa service. This is really expensive, so if you are not ready to pay for a done for you service where we hold your hand and walk through the entire thing, I would not recommend that you go into this. So only do this if you have the funds. This is what founders, business owners, entrepreneurs, highly well-paid software engineers, and people who don't have the time and they just want us to hold their hand, this is the service that they've paid for and they found it really helpful, right? And oftentimes they are always also qualified, so they just want someone who can just be there with them to help. So send us an email by clicking on the get started. Let us know you are ready. Like I said, it's a premium service, so we take care of you. So that's pretty much it. That's everything you need to know about this, right? So I recommend that you check it out, pick a time. So let's get into the video. I really apologize that it took almost 10 minutes before I started talking about everything. There's just a lot I needed to say before I get into the real power of the video. And thank you for watching if you are still along. I promise it's going to be incredibly helpful. So this is the updated TechNation guide. Like I've always said, if you want to apply for TechNation, this is the only thing that you need. This, a couple of my YouTube videos. Speak to me if you want. Get the guide, because the guide has examples. You might be lacking examples, so you want to get the guide. It's going to be really helpful. Apart from that, this is everything that you really need. I've talked about this on my other videos, so you might want to check it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this PDF, right? Because this PDF has a couple of red lines which are updated information on the guide, and those they post the changes that TechNation has made over time. And this is where you want to find all the information, all the new information about how to apply for TechNation. Going forward, let's just start from the top. Like I said in my other videos, TechNation is divided into two important categories for documentation. The first one is the mandatory criteria, and the second one is the optional criteria. For the mandatory criteria, this is where you prove to the body that you are promise or a talent as a leader. So what does that mean? I'll get into that in the video. And the optional criteria, you pick 2 out of 4 optional categories, and then you submit documentation to prove that you're a promise or a talent under that category. If you go back to the guide, you see everything about leadership is actually being detailed right here. Everything about mandatory criteria is detailed, and mandatory criteria reads that you must demonstrate that you've been recognized or you have the potential to be a leading talent in the technology field in the last 5 years. What that means is that you come off as someone with an extraordinary ability, whether through national or international recognition, through the work you do, through your expertise, through your skills. And your skills could be in either the technical side or the non-technical side. So either you're a software engineer, you write code, or you're a data scientist, or you work in AI, or you're a business development manager, or you're a marketing person, you're a digital person. Everything that you do must contribute back to the digital sector. Don't forget that. And when they say digital sector, you work at a company that is product-led. Product-led meaning a company that has built a product. There's a product, either a web application or a mobile application, and that's where they get most of their revenue. That's where the company gets most of its revenue. So if you work at a bank, right, a traditional bank where people work in, I've used this example a lot, where people just walk in and they still carry out transaction, that's where the bank gets a lot of its revenue. That's not a product-led. You can make a case that is product-led, especially if you work in the digital sector or the digital arm of the bank, because some of these traditional banks, they have a product part, right? They have the digital part. So I would recommend that you look at it if you meet that criteria. But other than that, this is for product-led. So for example, comparing to the traditional bank example, I would use something like a fintech. A fintech gets most of its revenue from the digital part of the bank. It could be a mobile app, it could be a web app, it could be a protocol, right? That's where they get most of their revenue. So your company must be a product-led. It must be under this stuff. So you really want to consider whether you work at a product-led company or you work at an agency. If you work at an agency, you can apply. So mandatory criteria, we've talked about it, right? So how then do you meet it? Let's go back to the red line. So for the mandatory criteria, you need at least 2 unique documents showing you are recognized as either a leading talent or a potential talent. The same thing goes for the optional criteria. So the optional criteria, like I said, you have 4, but you pick 2. Under these 2 that you've picked, you need to have 2 documents. So that's 4. Plus the 2 under leadership, that's 6 in total. So you need at least 6 documents in total. So that's everything you need to meet to submit good application to TechNation. Other than that, you could go as high as 10, right? That's what I've seen people do, right? And I would really recommend that because it gives you an opportunity to just show who you are. If you have a lot of evidences, I would recommend that you go as much as you can, but at least you need 2, so that's 6 in total, because you have 3 categories: leadership, the mandatory, 2 optional. So let's go through the mandatory. Let's see the amendment. I really love using the amendment, right? Because if you go back to this stuff, you can see a lot of examples that they have right here. So what I always recommend is that you go through each of these examples and you read, and then you apply it to yourself. That okay, how can I get an evidence that speaks to this? And again, we've provided a guide that has a lot of examples, and we'll keep updating the examples. If you see that there's nothing that speaks to you in particular, send us an email. We'll make sure we'll update it. And it's a lifetime access. So once you pay, you get a lifetime access, and that's what you're really paying for. So I would really recommend that you take an advantage of that. Take an advantage of the guide plus the call, and that's how you submit a wonderful application. So you led a non-profit organization. Like, these are the examples that you need, but I need to really call out the amendments so that you really understand the traps. And I don't want you to fall into any of these traps, because once you fall into it, you get rejected. So the first one is, before they used to say you command a high salary, just submit it, right? I've worked a lot of clients where all we did was just put together their salary and we just submitted it. Even myself, when I submitted my application, I just submitted my salary and that was it. It was fine. But now with this new amendment, salary is no longer enough, right? They said it. Note that salary or remuneration information isn't sufficient. Alone is insufficient. Rather, you will have to demonstrate how you have made a significant impact in the sector beyond your day-to-day activities. So what I recommend is you earn high, right? In your document, you talk about why you are being paid that high. Let me use myself as an example. When I applied back in 2021, my company had just reached $12 million, and I was brought on as the founding developer relations engineer, because the company at the time, they were building a developer product in AI. It had just started picking up back then. It wasn't this common, it wasn't this popular back then. So it was kind of like revolutionary what we needed to do at the time. So they brought me on, and I built an open source project, a Python SDK, JavaScript SDK. These are technical stuff, by the way. We are not technical. So I built a lot of this stuff, and that contributed to the advancement of the digital sector, because I can say that, okay, with our Python SDK, with our Python AI SDK, you could make a call to the large language model and you can really build incredible stuff. It's not only limited to my company benefiting from my work per se. I'm tying it back to other stuff that other people can get from, and that's contributing to the advancement of the digital sector. So the way I want you to think about it, I want you to think about it as you are doing something and that thing is moving the needle for the entire sector. I don't care what type of product you're building. Really think about it, that how is your contribution moving the needle for the digital sector, and that's why you are being paid that high. In my case, I was earning 6 figures, right? So I used that as my salary. Then I was still in Nigeria back then. I used that as my salary information. I uploaded everything, the documents, and then I put together all the evidences, and that was it. I got endorsed in less than 4 days. That's it. Really think about how the work you're doing contributes to moving the sector. They're saying that all activity you're providing as evidence for the mandatory criteria should have occurred within the past 5 years. Note that any evidence which has been solely made to support the timing of your application is unacceptable. Evidence should demonstrate a consistent level of activity over time. I used to say this to people, that you can really prepare, right? You can prepare your application, but try not to game your application, right? If I applied and I got a new job today and I'm applying for TechNation tomorrow, it really doesn't make sense, because TechNation might think, oh, it's because of TechNation, that's why you probably change jobs, right? So let things happen organically. I always love using that word. Let it happen organically. So any evidence that you're putting forward, let it be that it's something you've gotten well in the past, maybe at least 6 months ago, so that it doesn't come like you're gaming it. So they've changed the salary information. So if you're using salary information, make sure that it's well, you meet the criteria just like I've explained, and make sure that any document that you're putting together doesn't really go against the fact that it's not organic. Right, I see a lot of people pay for publications and then they make their application just weeks after the publication had gone up, or they speak at a particular conference and they made their application just weeks after the conference at that point. That doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't come off as organic. So you want to ensure in your application that you put together organic stuff. So amendment, they said LinkedIn, Medium, or any other self-published articles are not considered sufficient as evidence. So don't do it. Don't even put your articles, right? You get rejected. That's what they're saying right here. And there are a lot of other examples that you can use. You can put evidence of speaking at a high-profile digital sector event as evidence by reference letters, right? Makes sense. Or pictures describing the work, or newspaper clippings. So these are other evidences that you can use. But I thought to walk through the amendment so you see changes so that you put together your evidences, because if you know what not to do, you can know what to do, right? Because everything is written clearly right here, and like I said, we have examples for you in the guide. So another update that they've made is like I said, they've cancelled the evidence of employment contract with salary information including bonus and equity options, because that alone is not sufficient. It's insufficient, and they've removed that from the optional criteria, which is for innovation. Now I've covered leadership, and again, just to summarize, the kind of evidences that you can use for leadership should show you as a leader. Just think of it, something that will show me as a leader. Maybe the company you worked at, you built the product, you led stuff, you really did something that moved the needle for your company and for the digital sector, and they've written a lot of the evidences right here. I don't want to go through each and every one, because this video is already very, very long and I don't want it to be that much longer. So really think about it, because salary is still here, but you can work with the salary. What else? Optional criteria. For optional criteria, as you can see in the main guide, you can either demonstrate that you've been a founder, right, and you've done innovation, you've contributed. So I always call this one innovation. This is quite tricky because sometimes it comes off as subjective. You don't really know what to count as innovative. So I always recommend that you don't use this stuff unless maybe you have, like, you've done crazy stuff. You're a founder, you've built a product, right, and you've done a lot of really, really nice stuff, which is probably like top 10 or top 5%. So if you are not among that, that's fine. Let's walk through the one that I feel like is much more common for everyone, right? This one is, how do I demonstrate that I've been recognized for my work outside my immediate occupation that contributed to the advancement of the digital tech sector? I always call this recognition. So that means your work has been recognized as something that has contributed to the advancement of the digital sector. There are a lot of examples that you can submit here: conferences, talks, GitHub, Stack Overflow, open source projects, project. If you are not contributing to open source project, this is your evidence that you need to start contributing to open source project. Talks are conferences, but talks get really tricky because I've seen them reject a lot of people under these talks. Before, it used to be really straightforward, but now it's really tricky because they want you to speak at an event where at least 100 people attended that event. They don't want it to be just a virtual, a YouTube video thing. No, it must be like a standard conference, right, where you are like the speaker, and it must not be connected to your company, because now they are saying that leading a workshop or running a session at a conference is not sufficient, right? Evidence should include your speech with either a link to the video of you speaking, the program of the event displaying your talk, or a reference letter from the conference organizer with explanation of why you were asked to speak. And it must not be connected to your company, because if you go to the changes, as a speaker, you must be speaking on the main stage, and the invitation to speak must not have been paid by your organization as part of any sponsorship. For me, right, my company sponsors a lot of conferences, and I get to speak at some of these conferences, so I can't use that as my evidence because my company sponsored some of these events, right? You should clearly declare whether your employer was a sponsor at the conference. So if that's the only thing you have, you should actually declare, right? I've not seen someone who did, right? So I don't know if they would reject or not, but if that's the only thing you have, I think you can work with it as long as you are forthcoming. You don't want them to find out because they have their ways of finding out. So you don't want them to find out. So you need to declare this stuff, right? Let's just go through the amendments before we go back to the main evidence as well. So they said, note that any activity which is undertaken whilst you are representing a company with which you are associated is not sufficient evidence of activity beyond your normal work or occupation. So like I said, you just have to think outside of your occupation, outside of your company. So if you are speaking at a conference that your company sponsored, it is no longer sufficient. Even though you can declare it, maybe that will work, maybe not, but that's what it's saying in the amendment. So the next one is examples may include mentoring, advising, organizing interest groups, but let's talk about what they don't want. Note that your own participation in education activities such as formal is not sufficient as evidence. So if you are like teaching people in university or mentoring stuff, it's no longer sufficient. Note that mentoring should be primarily in-person activity, not mentoring virtually. Online mentoring platforms such as ADP List are not considered sufficient as evidence for mentoring. So don't do it. I've seen a lot of people do virtual mentoring, ADP List especially. ADP List is so common because it's easy to register online as a mentor and you get accepted and stuff. So they don't accept ADP List any longer. And they've also seen it, but right, they've rejected a lot of people with ADP List. That's why they're putting it out right here. So if ADP List is something that you're thinking of using, don't just use it. Don't consider it. So you see the rest of the examples in here that you can use as evidence of recognition outside of your 9 to 5. So think about it like this again in summary. Something you are doing outside of your occupation that is moving the digital sector. Great examples are open source contributions, newspaper feature, like a newspaper feature you as the best technologist or as the best founder or something like that, and you didn't pay for it. It's so clear that you didn't pay for it, you didn't game it. It happened organically, right? Another great evidence is speaking. Speaking must be at conference where we have over at least 100 people in attendance. You are at the main stage. There's a picture of you with your profile speaking or a link to the video. It's not just any workshop or any random stuff online. There must be something out there speaking to it. So you need to be careful. So that's recognition, and recognition is also a great place. So the next one is significant contribution. If I read this stuff, this is significant contribution, that you've made significant technical, commercial, or entrepreneurial contribution to the field as a founder, senior executive, board member, whatever, of a product-led digital company. So significant contribution always involves that. This is how you want to think of it, like your effort moved the needle for the company. So a before and after type of comparison. Before you started, the product was at 0 user, but when you joined, you moved the product to 4,000 users. That's how I want you to think about it when you're writing evidences on that significant impact. So if we begin to go through technical examples, they said having led in development of high impact digital product or services, starting or contributing to open source projects in a way that has been acknowledged by peers as advancing in the field, having worked as a key engineer in a core product of a startup, showing evidence as to how you've contributed to its success. So like I said, think of it like this: before after. This is where you started, this is where it is type of thing, and it must be significant, considered advancing in the field. Then evidences could be letter from employer where applicable, product designs, architecture diagrams, screenshot of stuff, GitHub account that contains line of code clearly showing your contribution if you're a developer. But for business people, investment strategy, or delivering on major product releases, or you founded a successful product-led digital company, or any other organization leading it. So letter of employer, right? Documents that are considered acceptable as evidence. Of course, documents detailing your contributions with screenshots and proofs. So that's how you meet significant impact. So I always recommend that you consider recognition and significant impact, because those are more objective to prove. Like, they are not subjective. You can really think of it and you can make a successful application. So I always recommend recognition, which is optional criteria 2, and significant impact, optional criteria 3. Optional criteria 4, I will not go into it because it's get towards academic contribution through research. If you're a PhD holder, if you're a research or like research people, you can just go through these examples and see how you can put together all those stuff to contribute to your application. But I've seen a lot of people try to do this research and they submit things in their project, but you have to be careful. You have to read through it, right? You have to read through what's acceptable. You have to read through what's acceptable, because they don't just want anything. So they didn't actually make any changes to optional criteria 4, because like I said, not a lot of people actually make submissions under this place. And you can see that under this amendment, they've crossed out salary also. So salary used to be one of the biggest evidences in the past, but now it's something you have to take note. Yeah, something you have to take care of. So be careful. That's pretty much it. I'll just go over one of the amendments and a couple of stuff right before I end the video. Oh, there's still a lot. Sorry, personal statement and stuff. I've not covered that. How do I demonstrate that I'm early in my career? Exceptional promise applicants can demonstrate that you meet this requirement through the evidence you provide for the mandatory and optional criteria within your organization. Note that unpaid internships are not considered applicable. So if you are just starting your career, unpaid internship are not acceptable. Don't do it. Let's talk about letter of recommendations. Letter of recommendations, really important. 3 people in your field, right? They must be an established expert in the digital technology field. They have known your work for at least 12 months. Before is know you and know your work, but now is have known your work for at least 12 months. Explain what plans you have for work in the future. So they must say, oh, they trust that you come to the United Kingdom and you continue to be an amazing software engineer, or you come to the United Kingdom and you continue to be an amazing product person. So you have to make sure that the letter speaks to all these points. It's really important, and they must be digital technology people, like experts. So a rule of thumb that I always advise to people is look at this person that you want them to write your letter of recommendation and see if they also apply for TechNation, will they get endorsed, right? When you begin to think about it, that's a good litmus test to actually select folks that would write your letter of recommendation. So like CTO, CEO, founders, business people, chief business officers, chief marketing officers, your manager, engineering manager, senior manager, all these big people, those are the kind of people that should write your letter of recommendation. And letter of recommendation is really straightforward. The format is let them introduce themselves, let them talk about how they know you or how they know of your work for at least 12 months, let them talk about your work, your contributions, the great amazing stuff you've done, let them move and just give examples, and then conclude by how they trust and they believe that you come to the United Kingdom to explain the work you want to do in the future in the United Kingdom and how you contribute to the digital sector. And that's it. And also for letter of recommendations, let them sign. If they are signing virtually, have a DocuSign logs attached. Is so important. It's so important. I can't stress it enough. Have a DocuSign attached, please. DocuSign logs attached. If you don't know what that means, check Google it. You understand? Have them export it, have them attach it. It's so important. And let them put their address, let them put their contact details, letterhead if you can. Just do anything that will prove that the letter is authentic. Let them do it in the letter. Let them add it. Let them prove that the letter is authentic, because I've seen a lot of rejections that come through because they feel like the letter were falsified. So you don't want to fall into that line, right? So you have to just prove beyond reasonable doubt that these letters that are submitted are all from original sources. And they've talked about all this stuff. Another thing is you can also add letter of reference as part of your evidence. So like I said, the minimum is 6, the maximum is 10. So you can maybe get one more letter of reference to match up so that it can be up to 7 or 8, right? But that will not be the compulsory letter of recommendation. So there's letter of recommendation, compulsory, 3, and there's letter of reference. Letter of reference can be submitted. So, but they said should not be the same as those submitted for your 3 mandatory letter of reference, which is the letter of recommendation. So it must be different. I must try to spread it, right? Try to spread it. And like they said, however, they should meet the same format and specification as required. So still follow that format that I talked about up above. That's pretty much it. They said, note that the use of letter of reference alone to show how you meet the criteria is not sufficient. Additional evidence should be provided. So like screenshots, code should also be provided. So in the past, we've always gone through by just submitting the letter of reference, but now you must back it up with actual proof. You must back it up with actual stuff. They said the use of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT within your application is not acceptable. Creating of letter of references, personal statement, evidence, etc. Right? So don't put together a document that come across that it's overly written by ChatGPT. Some of us still write and we still use ChatGPT to correct the language. You should be able to do that. Everyone does. You should be the main author of the stuff, and you should make sure you verify, you check, because some people actually submit generic content generated by ChatGPT, and that's what they are frowning at. If appropriate, TechNation will undertake checks on the information. They'll use AI to check false document or fraudulent evidence, and the application will be ineligible for consideration, and Home Office will be informed. I've seen people actually falsify documents. They said if you are caught, they report you to the Home Office, and that will prevent you from coming to the United Kingdom. So you don't want to do any of those stuff. So that's pretty much it. I think personal statement is the last. Let me talk about personal statement and how I've always advised people to write the best personal statement that will get you endorsed. Like I said, you want to get the guide. There are examples in there that are useful. So you want to go to tryrevisa.com to get the guide, right? But other than that, your letter of support, personal statement rather, your personal statement should detail everything about you. Try to cover information that we already don't know in your resume. Try to cover information that is not there in your evidences, right? So the way I always tell people is, tell us who are you? If your name is Jack, who is Jack outside of your evidence? How did Jack started in the tech career? What was growing up studying engineering like for Jack? So let us know. Take us through that story. So that story is what will connect your evidences to you, and your reviewer will be able to see you outside of your evidence, and they'll be able to say, okay, you've done great stuff, then you get endorsed. Your statement, your letter of personal statement, I'm really tired. Your personal statement is, you need for it to speak to what you're coming to do in the United Kingdom. So what I always tell people is, figure out a problem that you want to come and solve in the United Kingdom if endorsed. For me, I saw that, I want to create content, I want to grow this channel, or I want to build a mobile app for learning in AI. That's a problem because it's needed in the United Kingdom. So figure it out and then tie your evidences, your expertise to that. So once you tie it to that, they can then see that, this guy would stay, pick a place that you stay, pick either London, Manchester, Birmingham, one of these great technology hubs. Let me give you an example. I would love to live in London because London is a great hub for entrepreneurs, people who are building in tech. I love the ecosystem. I love the buzzing city, well connected to other areas of the United Kingdom. There's great flight connectivity from London Heathrow, London City Airport, and as part of what I want to do, I'll be traveling around the world. I'll be traveling to New York, I'll be traveling to the rest of Europe, I'll be traveling across Africa to Middle East, right? And that's why I've selected London. Now, getting into the United Kingdom, I love to build a mobile app to help kids learn AI much better, because 25% of the kids in the United Kingdom lack understanding of AI, as published by BBC in this report dated back in 2023. And I would love to solve this problem coming to the United Kingdom. I've built a mobile app that is on App Store that teaches kids in Nigeria how to learn AI. I would love to expand that mobile app into the United Kingdom if endorsed, and this is what I'll focus on. While I'm building the mobile app, I have an employment at Kuda Bank as their chief product officer. I'll continue to work remotely with the company, and I'll keep doing all these things in the United Kingdom, and I'll also be open to finding more opportunity. And I love that there's a great product community in the United Kingdom. I love to be a part of that, and I also love to contribute to open source conferences, organize meetups in London. These are everything I'll come to do in the United Kingdom if endorsed. So that's probably how you put it in your personal statement. Is that straightforward? Just get us excited that you're coming to the United Kingdom to do great stuff, because you're a great technology talent, you're talented, and we believe in you. That's everything that you need to do. That's how you can show that you're a great technical business promise or talent professional, whatever. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing else I want to talk about. Let me see if I remember something. Yes, fast track. Most people don't really know about this fast track, but it's something that you should consider. This is actually geared towards founders, people who are building product. If any of your products actually meets the criteria and you are accepted by any of these programs, any of these accelerators, you can use the fast track means in your application, and that would fast track your application and you get a decision, right? They said you mostly get a decision in 3 weeks. Fast track does not relate to eligibility. It doesn't increase your chances. It still goes through the normal stuff. So it's just the speed of processing your application. So that's it, right? Everything that you need, the form, the link is inside right here. People always ask me about cost. Cost is one thing. I think for the application you pay, I can't remember, maybe $700 to the home office when you're applying for stage 1, and after you've gotten your endorsement, you then pay what is called the IHS, which is the health insurance fee to move to the United Kingdom. So I think per person is about £1,000 right now. You have to pay per year per person that is coming to the United Kingdom. Let me give you an example. Okay, so say I'm just the only one coming to the United Kingdom, right? I would just pay £1,000, and if I'm coming as a promise, I get 5 years visa. That means I'll pay £1,000 times 5 just to get all the 5 years visa. But let's say I'm coming as a talent, I get 3 years visa. I'll pay £1,000 times 3. But let's say out of the 5 years visa that I've gotten, I only want to pay for 3 years or 2 years. That means if I pay for that, I'll only get the visa for 1 year to 3 years. The year you pay for, that's the amount of visa you'd get. So I mostly just advise people to maybe pay for everything. If you can't because of financial circumstances, you can consider paying for at least 2 years so that you'll be able to get a job in the United Kingdom if they want to sponsor you, because they also look at sponsorship if you want to sponsor yourself under TechNation, right? So that you can get a job. So look at least 2 years. Prepare funds for at least 2 years. So you pay $700 or £700. I really cannot remember, and then you pay £1,000. You pay £1,000 for IHS, the health insurance, and then your rent. That's when you come to the United Kingdom. You want to prepare for that as well, because it's quite expensive to live in the UK. It's quite expensive to live in the UK, but you just want to prepare for that. So it's kind of like an expensive consideration. It's quite expensive. It's something that you should consider. You should think about. If you have a partner, you have to think of it. You have to think of them as well. So you have to really sit down with them and think of it. Like for myself, I moved to the United Kingdom with my wife. So it was a discussion we talked about, we planned for, and at the time we paid IHS for about £600, £630. So we paid £630 times 10, because 5 years for me, 5 years for my wife. So that was the amount of health insurance we paid to be able to get 5 years visa to live in the United Kingdom. Like I said, it's quite expensive. You just have to plan for it, and the rent also. So you have to save up for rent, because I don't want a situation where you come to the United Kingdom, you don't have your rent figured out, because you pay rent monthly and it's quite like maybe £1,000 minimum, or maybe you find someone to live with. So that would help you save up on that cost. So you can have like a room share or an apartment share with someone. Makes sense. So I would recommend that you look into that, and you can look at cities. I would not recommend that you live in London, because London is quite expensive. So you can look at surrounding cities around London. Great places: Ashford, Kent. The entire Kent is like Maidstone, around Kent, because it gives you closer proximity to go into London. There are other places around London like Romford, all these great places around London. So what I actually did in my case was I sat down with Google Maps, myself and my wife, and then we picked a place around London, because of course I was working fully remote and I didn't want to just go into London or like live within London, so because it can be quite expensive. Other areas that you can look up to up north, they're like Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool. A lot of these great places with Nigerian community, or like with great technology community, because I'm Nigerian, that's why I say Nigerian. So it might not be a Nigerian watching this video, but yeah, that's pretty much it. What else do you need? Yeah, jobs. I was lucky enough to get 2 jobs my second week moving to the United Kingdom under the Global Talent Visa. I was very lucky, and I do not take it for granted. But what you can do in your case if you are looking for jobs is that the moment you get endorsed, I would recommend that you change your location on LinkedIn to the United Kingdom. Change it right away. Change it ASAP, because that allows you to take jobs whilst you're in Nigeria, as you prepare for your move to the United Kingdom. So it gives you kind of like a great head start. Because in my case, I was still working at the AI company that I talked about. I noticed that the company was having a couple of issues, and a couple of months after I moved to the United Kingdom, they actually shut down. Imagine, that would have been bad for me, because I would have been in the UK without a job. But I thought I saw into the future early on, and I started preparing, started interviewing, started putting everything right, just applying. And literally my second day in the United Kingdom, I did my last interview at a company in Soho Square in London, central London, but I didn't take the role. Took Circles, because Circle has a great offer. I love great offers attached to it. That's that about jobs. startups, founders. The United Kingdom is a great place to build. You get funding, you can create businesses. So if you are interested in creating a business, I would also recommend you to look into that. There are a lot of funds, there are a lot of accelerators that you can join. There's Antler, there's Techstars, there are a lot of all those great accelerators. If you are a founder looking for funding, if you actually desire or like think about doing that in the future, so that's something that you can also think about. I really just want to talk about everything before the end of this video. The UK is just, there are ups and downs living in the UK. High taxes. I might create a video to talk about that in the future. But you just prepare your mind, because obviously you are here for a reason. You are here for like a better life. You are here for better opportunities. You are here for, they might not even be for better opportunities. It might just be for a career change, right? You feel like moving to the United Kingdom will mean well for your career, right? So once you have that at the back of your mind, it makes living in the United Kingdom much more easier, right? Because the weather is not as great. Weather is not as great. It might get lonely sometimes, it might get depressing sometimes, but you just have to like do a lot of physical activities. You just have to do a lot of stuff to keep your body and mind together. I think I made a video that is still on my laptop. I've not edited it, just speaking and giving people advice, my experience living in the United Kingdom after 2 years. All right, I think I can consider myself as incredibly lucky, because career is going well, everything is going well for me, my family is doing amazing, so I can consider myself incredibly lucky. If you feel like you really want to know anything about TechNation, feel free to check Revisa out. It's called tryrevisa.com, or shoot me a message on LinkedIn or X. If I don't respond, I get busy sometimes, but I'll try to respond, or comment in the comments below. So going forward, I think I've shared everything that I know about TechNation. I'm trying not to forget something, trying so hard not to forget anything. Right, okay. Thank you if you watched the video up until this end. It's a long one, but I hope you find value in the video. Again, the guide is there for you. Everything that you need to submit a wonderful application is there for you. Going forward, I'll continue talking about personal development, tech, a lot of stuff I'm building, a lot of stuff I'm working on, a lot of interesting stuff, AI, right? I feel like I have incredible experience in large language models. I understand how large language models work. I understand how to build AI-enabled application. So if you're a founder, if you're a business owner, if you're a developer, if you're a software engineer, if you're trying to start a career in AI, reach out to me. Let me know the kind of content you'd love to see. Let me know something you'd love to understand. I'll be able to create content about that. And my primary occupation right now is working in the financial space, in the blockchain space to be specific. So if you're looking to build something also in that area, it's something I'm happy to chat about. It's something I'm happy to create content about. Content creation is also something I'm happy to talk about. I have built an incredible amount of following on Instagram, on TikTok as well, sharing everything that I know about tech. That's something I want to chat about. Let me know. Career, personal development is something that I'm also well equipped to talk about. I mentor a lot of people. I give advice. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching the video thus far. My name is Blessing, and I'll see you in the next one.